That is where I will leave it today. Thank you, as always, for spending this time with me. Go and find the mountain, whichever one yours happens to be. I am Markus J. Diplama, and this has been the Next Biz Thing. Until next time, take care of yourselves. If you have ever thought about standing on the roof of North Africa, or if you just want to spend a few days walking between Berber villages in some of the most beautiful valleys anywhere in the Mediterranean world, go and look at what Toubkal Trekking offer. Read how they talk about their guides and their licensing, because that is the part that will matter to you at 4,000 meters. And whether you go with them or not, take the underlying lesson with you into whatever you are booking next. Ask who is actually delivering the experience and ask what they are qualified to do. Toubkal Trekking are positioned almost perfectly for that shift. Founded by local guides based in the Gateway Village, officially licensed and insured, employing local teams across the whole operation, honest about pricing and about what the competition is cutting to undercut them. That is not a marketing story assembled after the fact. It is what they are, and the marketing simply describes it. For 15 or 20 years, the story of travel was intermediation. Platforms accumulated the demand, took a substantial cut, and progressively turned the actual providers into interchangeable inventory. What is happening now, in adventure travel especially, is that travelers have started asking a different question. Not just what does this cost, but who exactly is taking me up this mountain? What are they trained in? Where are they from? And where does my money end up? Those questions are terrible for intermediaries and wonderful for operators like this one, who have a genuine, specific, verifiable answer to every single one. So why does a small mountain guiding company in Morocco belong on a show about the next big thing in business? Because I think what they represent is a shift happening right across the travel industry, and it is a shift back toward the operator. Their track record is there too. They hold a TripAdvisor Certificate of Excellence, and they maintain an active presence across social platforms where past travelers can be found talking about their trips. Their other stated commitment is transparent pricing, and they are refreshingly direct about the economics of it. They point out that booking directly with them avoids the commissions that third-party booking platforms take, which they put in the range of 25 to 40%. That is an extraordinary proportion of a trip's cost to hand to an intermediary that will not be on the mountain with you. By encouraging direct booking, they can either pass that saving to the traveler or reinvest it in the quality of the experience, and in practice, they appear to do a bit of both. The teams they field reflect the same investment. A trek does not just come with a guide. It comes with licensed guides, professional cooks, and muleteers who handle the animals carrying equipment and supplies. That is a proper mountain support structure, and it is also, I want to point out, a meaningful amount of local employment. Every multi-day trek Toubkal Trekking runs is putting income directly into households in Atlas valleys, in a region where tourism is one of the few reliable sources of it. The guiding, the cooking, the mule handling, and often the accommodation are all locally provided. This is a business whose growth flows into the communities it operates within rather than out of them. And there is a commercial dynamic here worth naming plainly. In any adventure market where the customer cannot easily assess quality before purchase, the cheapest visible price tends to win, and the operators who invest properly in training, licensing, and insurance are structurally disadvantaged. Toubkal Trekking's answer to that is simply to explain the difference and let people choose knowingly. I have a lot of respect for that approach. It treats the customer as somebody capable of understanding what they are buying. Here is why that matters more than it might sound. High-altitude trekking in the Atlas is not technical climbing, but it is real mountain terrain at real altitude, where weather changes quickly and where the nearest help is not close. The difference between a licensed guide and an unlicensed one is training in exactly the situations that separate a memorable trip from a serious incident. Altitude sickness recognition, route decisions when conditions shift. What to do when somebody in the group is struggling. It is precisely the sort of expertise you never notice when it is present and never forget when it is absent. Toubkal Trekking hold an official license from Morocco's Ministry of Tourism. Their guides are licensed guides. They carry liability insurance. And they are entirely open about the fact that these things distinguish them from a segment of the market that competes on price by using unofficial guides and skipping the paperwork. Now let me get to the part of this business that I think is the real story, because it is the part they lead with themselves, and it is unusual for a company to make its main pitch about something as unglamorous as licensing. That range tells you something about how they think. They have not built a business around one product with one entry point. They have built something closer to a regional service, where a visitor arriving in Marrakech with anything from a spare afternoon to a spare fortnight can find something genuinely worth doing. So what do they actually offer? The core of it is Mount Toubkal itself, with treks running from 2 up to 5 days depending on how much acclimatization and exploration you want built in. Around that sits a much broader program. There are Atlas mountain hikes at a range of durations and difficulty levels. There are Berber village walks over 2 or 3 days, which are less about summits and more about moving slowly through the valleys and meeting the communities who live in them. There are day trips out to places like the Agafay Desert and the Uzud waterfalls. There are Sahara desert tours. There are combinations that pair the Atlas with the desert into a single longer journey. And there are the specialist activities, mountain biking, camel trekking, and even hot air ballooning. I want to sit with that for a second, because in adventure travel, it is the single most underrated quality an operator can have. Local origin is not sentiment, it is operational knowledge. It is knowing which route holds snow into May and which one clears earlier. It is knowing which families in which village will be able to accommodate a group at short notice if the weather turns. It is knowing what a particular sky at a particular hour tends to mean on that particular slope. None of that is written down anywhere. It lives in people who have spent their lives there. Let me begin with where they are and who they are, because both matter enormously here. Toubkal Trekking is based in Douar Imlil, in the Azni Valley, which is the traditional gateway village to the Toubkal Massif. That is not a marketing office in Marrakech with a mountain in the brochure. That is the actual village at the foot of the actual mountain. And the company was founded by mountain guides who come from the Toubkal area themselves, led by Mustafa Bouin-Baden. The people running this business grew up in the terrain they take you through. Welcome back to the Next Biz Thing. I am Markus J. Diploma, and today we are heading somewhere rather different from the usual. I want to talk about a company operating in a niche where the gap between a good operator and a bad one is not a matter of customer satisfaction scores, but a matter of whether people come home safely. The company is Toubkal Trekking, and they run guided treks and expeditions through the Atlas Mountains and the Moroccan Sahara. There is a mountain in North Africa that most people have never heard of, and it is the highest point on the entire continent north of Kilimanjaro. Mount Toubkal stands at just over 4,100 meters in Morocco's high Atlas range, close enough to Marrakech that you can be drinking mint tea in the Medina in the morning and walking through a Berber village in the foothills by the afternoon. And here is what I find remarkable about it. Unlike almost every other summit of that stature, Toubkal is genuinely reachable by an ordinary, reasonably fit person who has never described themselves as a mountaineer. That combination, real altitude and real accessibility, has made it one of the most quietly extraordinary trekking destinations anywhere.